Just so you know kind of how the genesis of this conversation is that there were several clients I sent George's way because they were first-time users, et cetera, and we just realized, and George said to me, let's get together and do a video and just kind of create this opportunity for people to know what's expected and all that good stuff. So
it's like an orientation.
Yeah, and it helps me big time.
George the Tech.
Hey, it's George the Tech, and today I have a special kind of interview / tutorial with my good friend Dave Walsh, because he coaches and produces demos, and what we wanted to do today was kind of introduce you his method and demystify the ways you connect with Dave or even other studios and coaches to get the best quality audio. How's it going, Dave?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, buddy?
It's great to see you. Thank you for coming in and being here and being my guinea pig today.
Man, I love being your guinea pig. I'm just we haven't done this in a while.
We haven't done this in a while. It's overdue.
Yeah, it's very cool. So I appreciate being here.
Just a little bit about yourself and your true tell. Tell us about why that is such in demand and why it works so well.
Well, first of all, I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy that it is in demand because, we're talking about authenticity, and it was, I don't know if you knew this, but Merriam-Webster coined authenticity as the word of 2023.
Oh, is it really?
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, look at that. So it's become a cornerstone of the way I coach. The program, The True Tell, which some of you may have heard of, is a program that really helps you to get to the granular level of what you're talking about. What is your purpose when you talk, right? Because for all of us, when you're having conversations away from this thing, it's really easy to connect to people, we hope, the right people that you're talking to. You have an idea of what you're talking about, who you're talking to, why you're talking. But when we get in front of this thing, a lot of the times we become disconnected. We don't understand why. Why can't I connect to a piece of copy the way I can connect to my wife, a spouse, a partner, a child, a friend? Why is it not as easy?
Your purpose goes from being like an internal, inherent thing to being externalized all of a sudden, because now there's a mic and a script, and you lose all that.
Completely. So what this program is designed to do is to help you to really target and understand, first and foremost, more than anything, is your purpose behind this mic. What is the purpose, A, as a voice actor, B, in this particular script of the situation, other than the fact I have a job because an agent sent me or a pay-to-play sent me a script and I have to book a job. Mm-hmm. That's not a good enough reason. Right. So we want to get really specific about understanding. Ooh, there it is, right on cue. Understanding the purpose of ourselves behind the microphone. And this came really quickly after my own touch with darkness, really a dark night of the soul where I lost my voice. And I had to relearn how to speak. And when I did that, I started to realize that my own career, which was incredibly successful, a lot of that had elements of inauthenticity to it, where I was putting voices and sounds on top of being classically trained to be more competitive. And it worked to a certain point until it didn't. So a number of you out there may know what it feels like to have a strained voice when you're speaking. And a lot of that comes from trying too hard and not being connected to what you're talking about. So that's really the core of the work, is getting you to really feel the effortlessness of connected communication.
Who do you think are really ideal clients? I mean, some coaches say, I work with all levels. Some are like, I'd like to have somebody with some experience. I'd like to have someone who has a studio. What are you looking for in an ideal voice actor client to coach with you?
Not because I don't love to train beginners, but I think for me, the program itself works much better when people have come from some basic training where they get the basic ins and outs of voiceover, whether it's the technical part of it, the basics of that. But I think you and I can both agree on this, is that what came first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, get the craft down before you start investing in incredible, but not as much money as we spent in the past, right?
Yeah.
But it's making the effort to understand your purpose in the stories and the work before you create a gorgeous studio that your genius will help them do. But it's really more to kind of put that equipment to a good use where the auditions that they're sending are competitive. So for me, I will work with somebody who's had a couple of workshops that they've done. I've sent them to several different places, and then I'd start there with them. So it would take probably a couple of workshops under their belt.
Yeah.
Like a 6 or 8 week, a couple of those would be great to kind of dive in after that.
Yeah, and we have a great list of partners with us, and
Absolutely.
some of them that is absolutely their bag is to work with newer voice actors, people who are fresh into the industry. And so we got you covered no matter what,
Totally. And I think the thing about that is really watching people grow, right? I think that that's one of the most beneficial parts of being a coach. It's one of the most rewarding parts of being a coach is really watching clients move those levels, those exponential levels up in their work. I mean, I can't put a price tag on that. It's the best.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, now it's time. You're finally going to get that first coaching session with Dave. What are the methods that you find work best to coach over the computer? Because let's face it, I'm sure most of what you do, maybe all of what you do now, is remote. Is it all remote these days?
Yeah, I mean, with the exception, I did an in-person workshop here in LA about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But other than that, it's all remote because...
If it's in person, it's a group workshop scenario.
Yes, it's going to be in person. It's going to be a group. Individuals I don't do anymore in person because this is more efficient. I mean, I'm able to reach more people, as you are, in a way that I couldn't do before. So I find this to be, this is phenomenal.
This makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So we're going to do a little tutorial today. Part of this is to show your users, your customers, our customers really, the tools that work well to be coached. So what is your first thing? You're going to send out an email and you say, okay, we got a session on Friday, first coaching session. What are you going to tell them?
So we'll tell them that we will connect through Zoom. What I like to do with my individual coaching clients, George, is I want to see you. Okay, I want to be able to see you and connect with you. If in fact we have camera problems or whatever, that's totally fine. But I think for me, it's the whole experience of being able to work with you that way. I'm not using Teams. I could use those things, but my own software works best with Zoom. So I do ask clients to work via Zoom with me.
Right.
So that way they can record the session either to their computer or to the cloud, whichever. So yeah, that's really all from an individual coaching standpoint you need. If you're recording from your MacBook computer or your PC or whatever, and you're using the microphone from your computer, that's fine.
At least
as
for
long
coaching.
as I can hear it. Yeah, for coaching, it's fine. For coaching, but I do ask if people do have studios, I'd rather them work in their studio with their studio mic. I call it being in your natural habitat. If they can do that, I'd rather have them physically how they stand when they audition and record so that they just kind of feel comfortable,
Makes sense. Or if they're not comfortable, they have to learn.
You have to learn how to be comfortable. Totally, man.
I worked with somebody this morning and I said, where's your script? Oh, let me go get my script holder. And she brought in a folding music stand that you'd have in an elementary school band. And she set it up and, it was awkward and didn't hold the script well. And I said, wow, let's do this first. She had a whisper room. She had all the bells and whistles, but she didn't have a good place for the script. And I was like, this is fundamental. Got to have a stable, ergonomically placed script in the right place. That's your muse.
Can we talk about this for a second? Because I feel like you are you're singing what I say every day. There has become something, and all of you out there, where because of the evolution of technology, because we can read our scripts on our phones, our tablets, etc., that actors of today feel like they don't need to have the ability to touch their scripts, whether it's digitally or it's in a printed out way or analog, right? The truth is that actors, particularly even actors on Broadway now are given tablets where the scripts, the book is actually in the computer and they're able to use stylists to be able to make their notes.
Right.
It is impossible, or let me just go so far to be dramatic, disrespectful for the work that you do to not be able to make notes, because a lot of my coaching is heavily note intensive, as a lot of people know. And when actors say to me, I don't have access to a printer, I don't have a tablet with a stylus. Okay, I get it. But we always did.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying here's old school trying to tell new school what to do. I have this problem with people that have these beautiful whisper rooms or studio bricks or whatever, or a tri-booth, and they're standing there and they're holding a script. And I'm going to go, well, I don't have a stand. Why?
Yeah.
Would you please shout this from? It's fundamentals, guys.
We do. And on our site, we have the gear recommendations page on our resources area, and we have several different very useful ways to hold your copy, whether it's a script, whether it's paper, whether it's a book, whether it's an iPad, whatever it is. Get those things squared away, hopefully before you have your first coaching session with Dave, because you want to make the most of your time, and you want your ergonomics to be squared away. You want the script to be at the right spot. That's the thing you're focused on. The microphone is just eavesdropping. People are always like, okay, I've got my mic and I'm like, no. Where's your script?
Totally. And I think, and for all of you, it's not about us. We're not making fun of you. We're really trying to make you, and to George's point about ergonomics, that is exactly what we mean, is that it will be distracting to your performance. If you're holding the script, if you have to turn it this way, if the room isn't comfortable, let George and myself or any other coach help you to find those ways. If he has the ability, which I love that you have that kit ready in terms of helping people make that choice, because the maximum reach of my coaching really is with you walking into your booth seamlessly and not having to worry about, standing on your head, holding the script over this way.
Absolutely.
So it's really key, everybody.
So fundamental number one, script in the right place, in a comfortable, ergonomically located spot. You're not looking down. You're not craning your neck. You're not looking out the corner of your eye. You don't have a pop screen right in front of your face. None of that stuff is sorted out. So now you've got that. You've got Zoom. Make sure you've got your Zoom microphone and speaker settings at hand. Make sure you know how to set those. And if you're not sure, that's going to be on the bottom of the screen. I'll show that, but it's always at the very bottom of the Zoom window. And you'll always see a mute and a video icon. There's a mute, and it says stop video or start video. There's little tiny woefully understated little buttons that let you choose those settings. I wish it said settings, but that's where it is. And now you know where to set the microphone and the speakers. How about wearing headphones? I know that headphones are a tricky thing, because we want them to hear the coaching and the direction, but do you want them to hear themselves?
No.
What do you think?
No. I mean, my first reaction is if they have to use my headphones, that they kick one off so that they're not completely in their own heads, literally.
One on, one off.
One on, one off. That at minimum, at maximum, no headphones. Because actors we love our voices. Or we use it as a crutch. We use it to be the thing where I don't really know how I sound without cans. And that doesn't diminish how important these are. They're incredibly important. But it just becomes when actors, particularly when they're beginning, they rely on it because it does become the comfort for them to let them feel. Yeah.
It does for me. And I'm not an actor. It's weird to not have them on. And I know there are times where it's better off that I don't have them on. But the other problem I find with headphones for the actor is they will now be distracted by every little distraction that gets picked up by the mic and goes into the headphones. And while it does matter that your audio be clean and free of those distractions, I don't think you're going to have a great time getting a great performance if at the same time as performing and acting, you're splitting your brain in two, left and right, and the left part is analyzing the audio while the right part is performing and being creative. You cannot do the two things simultaneously.
I agree. I say all the time, you can't rub your tummy and pat your head at the same time. Like, it's just, you're trying to do multiple things because, and again, let me kind of make this a general statement when people say to you, you can't multitask. Like when someone's really having your attention, you can't multitask. And this is a perfect example of that.
I agree. I believe that we microtask.
Yeah.
Meaning that you switch modes. You might do it very quickly. You might do it 100 times a minute. But you are switching your attention. But to truly do both, you cannot do that, right? So
I would agree.
Yeah, so if you got a headphone, it's just going to be there mainly to hear Dave and get direction and get the coaching. If you hear yourself, that's okay. But don't let that get in your way of your performance, right?
Yep.
So now you've got your microphone set up. You've got it feeding into Zoom. You're listening back. right now we're doing what's called original sound for musicians on mode. Do you find it necessary and helpful when you're coaching that the student be using this mode in Zoom?
I don't really feel like it needs to, but I think what happens is because of clipping, I think it's easier if it's a raw feed so that
Yes.
I can hear every word so they don't clip.
Yes.
So from a coaching perspective, I would say they probably should keep it off.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what's so confusing about the original sound for musicians mode. When it's on, the processing is off. When it's off, all that weird, funky processing that clips off bits of words and removes non-human sounds is on, right? So I know I prefer that you or somebody else that's listening to the audio, the best quality, that little thing that says original sound for musicians is actually on.
So am I doing it in reverse?
Does yours say on or off?
Right now it says on.
That's what you want. So you want to have that on. And then here's the tricky part. That setting always defaults to off. Always.
Yes.
The second you start a session, it is off. Why? My guess is that Zoom is trying to protect people from creating crazy echo chambery stuff, because usually when we use original sound, we turn off the headphone echo canceling, because that allows us to hear each other without each other cutting each other or clipping each other off, right? So
Right.
I think that's really important. So check for that setting, make sure that's available to you and on.
Okay.
And now you should be good. You should have a good Zoom session at this point, right?
Yep.
Camera,
Absolutely.
secondarily, but as long as you can see them, doesn't have to be well lit, doesn't have to be whatever. Just you want to see them at least and have some connection to what they're doing, right?
Right. And so just a couple of things to that, just to kind of make a comment about, somebody out there might be saying, well, why aren't you using Source Connect, or why are you not using, IPTTL or ISDN is gone. But why are you not using Source Connect? And let me just kind of say.
We're talking about the context of coaching right now.
Yes, exactly. And so for me, I would much rather see you and work with you en masse versus, a clear digital signal by itself. I can coach you without visuals, obviously, but it's an optimum way for me to work.
You're a big talking with hands person. Others are going to do the same. All of those things are going to make for a more effective communication, right?
Yeah, totally.
So there's Zoom. The coaching's done. Let's move to the demo. So what are the tools of the trade that your team likes to use with the talent to do demo recording remotely?
The clients will record through Source Connect. So in terms of that signal, the studio that I work with, which is Atlantis Recording in Santa Monica, out here, John Cheminsky, a number of you might know John. John and I have been doing demos for years together. And so the easiest way for us to do this is that the client will simply connect with John through, and you will explain, obviously, the difference between Source Nexus and Source Connect Standard. Either one of those, and I will be fed through Zoom. The client doesn't need to even deal with me. I come in, talk with John through that. But for the clients, for every client's own edification, all you need to do is to connect with my studio, Atlantis Recording, via Source Connect or by Source Nexus.
Gotcha. That's right. So these are two different sets of tools that are made by Source Elements. Source Connect has been around for a very long time. It's been used to connect between different studios or home to a commercial studio since ISDN, since 15 plus years now. And the key is to use this software. You must have a license to operate it on your computer. Whether you're using a demo that only lasts for maybe 15 days, or if you are actually paying for the subscription, or if you did a buyout license, meaning you now own it for life. You have to have a license to run this software. That means there's some prep involved. It's not as simple as downloading and clicking a link like Nexus or like Zoom. And we'll talk about Nexus in a minute. So just to be clear about that, if you're going to go the Source Connect route, you probably should have already learned how to use it. You should probably already have the license. And learning how to do that can be a little daunting. But the good news is that Source Elements has very good hand-holding training and walking people through, I'll provide that training as well. So if you want a little extra, more technical training, you want to understand how your equipment interacts with Source Connect, how to set the ins and outs, the buffer settings, etc., we can also walk you through that. But you want to have done that well in advance of that demo. Now, you also mentioned something else called Nexus. Nexus is a newer technology, and the nice thing about Nexus is that for the client, or in this case, talent that you're working with, they don't need to have a license. They don't need to buy anything. They are sent a link, and when they click that link, it opens the browser. It's going to be with Google Chrome. And now you, as the talent, are connecting to a studio over the web through this portal. How do you determine which of the two? Are you allowing it up to the client to say, I have Source Connect, let's use that? Or I have nothing, now what? How do you get past that hurdle for them?
Well, it runs the gamut. For clients that are established with Source Connect, there's no brainer. It's
a
Source Connect,
no-brainer.
period.
They
It's a
know it.
no-brainer.
They own it. They have a license, etc. So these are
use
going to
it.
be the more seasoned voice actors probably out there, right?
Right. So I'll also get clients that say, I have Source Connect, I've not used it. So commonly I'll say to clients is, are you booking jobs? Because if you're booking jobs, I'll say, are you doing a live record? Are you just sending the sessions via
Record and
AIF?
send.
Record and send, whatever. So that will tell me if you know if your studio floor, first of all, is where it needs to be, and we can go into
how
that in
much
detail
background
as well.
noise is in the room, right?
Right. So this will give me a little indication of how savvy they are about it. No judgment. It's just knowing.
Yeah.
So if they don't really have experience with Source Connect, I would say, and have them connect with you or connect with Source Elements to start to walk through how to use this. There are other people that don't have Source Connect, and they will probably rely on Source Nexus as an option. Are
you finding that your studio is having good success in recording the client via Nexus?
I don't think I've had a lot of problems with it, but I
Good.
think that it's easier for the studio itself, for John's studio, to that was your question, really. I think, and I'm saying this unsolicited, but I think that it would be preferable to have Source Connect than Nexus, but Nexus will work. Nexus will work. But I would say use Nexus as a last resort. And quite frankly, I don't usually do demos for clients that have no voiceover experience. I'm kind of hoping that you've had at least one or two jobs where you've had to use Source Connect or you've had to use some form of live studio recording. So yeah, I would say if I had to put them in order, I would say Source Nexus is the alternative if you have to use it.
Yeah, and Nexus is really, from Source Elements' perspective, their answer to Zoom. So they created Nexus to be a tool that a studio producer could use to deploy and bring in the clients. So if it was a commercial production, the clients, maybe a director, they'd all be in the Nexus. And then you, the talent, would be in Source Connect. And the engineer would be bringing it all together through the Nexus gateway, right? These are all these things that are going on.
Yeah.
Now, your producer, you get to work with a producer. He's doing a similar thing, but you're using Zoom. So Zoom is being used as a communications channel. Source Connect is being used as the recording studio channel, as it were, right?
Yeah.
This is why this is confusing, and because these things can be used in different ways, they can be interacted in different ways, but in pretty much all cases, you as the actor have one tool to load, whether that be Nexus or Source Connect. You connect to the studio that way, and the session's being recorded on the studio end. Do you also have the actor record a backup file?
We are recording the backup. We're recording the session, but we don't have the client do a backup.
Okay.
Should we?
Should you is completely a matter of choice. If I was an actor and I had Source Connect or Nexus, and the first thing I do is when I'm connected, hi, everybody, you want me to record a backup? And they go, oh, sure, you can do that. Okay. That's just another way to show you have experience and you know how to use your tools. And what's
Yeah.
a backup? That's simply hitting record in your DAW, Twisted Wave, Adobe Audition, whatever it is. You're recording yourself at the same time. It's just another kind of redundancy.
Yeah.
It's just another backup. Again, he's not requiring it, but you're just saying, hey, oh yeah, I know what this is. I got you. I can record a backup.
Yep.
So that's what that's
Absolutely.
about. If you hear that term thrown around, that's what they're referring to.
If we were in a situation where we do a backup, everybody, usually our demo recording sessions are normally 2 to 3 hours. So just know if you're recording it raw, make sure that the drive you're recording it on has plenty of space. Just
Make
keep
sure
that
you
in
have
mind.
drive space. It's embarrassing. It's happened to the best of us.
Yep, for
That we
all of
run
us.
out of disk space. I think all of that, and we'll definitely have resources here for you guys to learn these different tools, see how they operate. This video is going to live in probably multiple places, but primarily on Dave's landing page on the George the Tech site. So everybody can go there and review and see these tools at their disposal. So they can learn and see where to access them, how to use them, etc. And so that by the time that session comes with you, Dave, they're going to feel confident. They're not going to be nervous. They're not going to feel like, oh, I've never seen this before. Now I have to use it. You'll be prepared. That's the key.
Yeah, no, I think this is fantastic. In fact, just everybody, just so you know kind of how the genesis of this conversation is that there were several clients I sent George's way because they were first-time users, et cetera, and we just realized, and George said to me, let's get together and do a video and just kind of create this opportunity for people to know what's expected and all that good stuff. So
It's like an orientation.
Yeah, and it helps me big time.
Absolutely. I mean,
Big
at the
time.
end of the day, you want the student to feel confident and you want
Yeah.
them to show up prepared. And then everybody wins, right?
Yep.
You know, they get the best of the time. They're spending their hard-earned money on that time with you. You get to the crux of the whole point of the session. Everybody wins, right? So
Totally. When you need this kind of information, George has provided this incredible resource because, I mean, again, so much of this came out of COVID. I remember when we were talking back in COVID where you couldn't come to anyone's house. We all had to do the same thing with you. I was doing an inventory of all my equipment that was in the closet, and I had my phone, and I'm sending it to George because he couldn't come to the house. So all of what's come out of COVID, I think, is really an advantage for all of us that we have at a very doable cost of technology now, the ability to really to have so many choices. One of your words, George, was choices. You know, and I think that we never used to have that. We never used to have choices. We were beholden to AT&T and Verizon and ISDN. I mean, we didn't have any other choice.
it was these boxes right here over my
Right
shoulder.
behind you, right behind you.
There's a stack of them. You can't even see all of them. They go higher than that.
I have a pink one in my closet.
Oh man, you got the pink one, man.
I got the
You're
purple
lucky.
one. The purple one, yeah.
That's the one I'm missing. We might have to work out.
Are you
something.
serious?
Yeah, I need the purple one.
I think you may need my purple one. There you go. Yeah,
Well,
but
this has been great. I really hope all of you have are going to feel more confident working with Dave. You're going to feel like you know the tools of the trade now. You'll be better prepared. That's the goal here. Thanks for your
Awesome.
time, Dave.
oh, thanks, George. Thank you for the information, man. It's incredibly helpful. Thanks,
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for partnering with George the Tech.
buddy. Absolutely, my pleasure. Bye, everybody. See you soon.